The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Ladies and gentlemen, the Church of Lazlo has begun.
Yo!
How are you?
Oh, never been better. How are you?
Good.
Good. Glad to hear it.
That shirt looks good on you. It's a good color for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It brings, it highlights, your beauty.
I appreciate that.
Color
It looks
in your
like you
eyes.
got a new baseball tee. Are those baseball tees?
Yeah, but I have like 700 of these.
Is that what
That's
they call
not
those
new.
though when they're like half softball?
Three-quarter length shirts.
Softball tee?
Baseball tees.
I think they're just
That's a baseball tee?
Yeah.
What's this shirt that has if you get a white shirt, it's got let's say it's just got a blue collar around the top.
Ringer.
But then also, that's a ringer. When it's got the thing around the sleeves too.
Yeah, that's a ringer
That's
tee.
a ringer. Okay. Well, I learned something
I think
new
this is
today,
just a
guys.
baseball tee, right?
Baseball
Yeah.
tee.
Yeah. 3/4 sleeve.
Three-quarter sleeve. That's what it is. That's how I buy them. Three-quarter sleeve.
But yours is a softball tee because you're a bitch.
Oh, man.
Boom.
Man. Start right off with the anti-woman bitch jokes. Just pick up where you left off yesterday.
Oh, come on. Wait,
You see that lady was on MSNBC last night? Did you see that? Anybody see it?
Who?
I forget her name. It doesn't matter. And I only saw the highlights. But she said, look at this. Right after, about an hour and a half after we got off the air, she said, look, if you're still supporting Sanders instead of Warren, then you're just a sexist.
Oh, yeah, that was on Twitter.
yeah. MSNBC gets a lot
Right
of crap
after
for
I told you that, then someone else had to reaffirm it to you later.
MSNBC has a long history of not being fans of Bernie, and Bernie critics are quick to point that out. That they say MSNBC is the corporate.
Well, you know
Democrat
what?
Party.
I'm just saying, how many times does people have to tell you before you realize maybe they're right?
It's pretty crazy
I'm
how.
expecting with the news today that MSNBC will just say, Bernie Sanders dead at 78.
right.
On his
But they don't
deathbed.
mention that Joe Biden's eye is bleeding on stage.
Right.
But I'm sure Bernie, which, look, Bernie having heart surgery, that is a serious deal. That's big news. I'm sure you
wasn't
saw.
heart surgery.
He had a stent.
He had a
That's
stent put in, which is put in through your wrist.
Yes,
That's-
okay. It's still
So they
a
put it
heart
through his wrist?
procedure.
They used to do it through your thigh.
They said like 75% of them are now put through your wrist.
I
used to
thought-
do it through your
I thought
thigh.
they did it through your groin.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
up
they used
your
to be through your
junk.
groin, but now it's gotten so easy for them. I guess it's just through your wrist now.
Ugh, they always talked about how, it's non-invasive. We're just going to take this little tiny thing, then we're going to put this
Gonna
stent
send
up
it
your
all the way
groin.
up
I'm
there.
like, maybe just crack my chest open. I don't know.
Oh,
What do you-
God, no. I
stick it
can't
in
even
there?
think about
No,
that.
I know. It's horrifying. It's horrifying.
Thinking about cracking this
The fact
thing
that they
open.
don't
Just
have
even
to do that most
saying
of the time
cracking
anymore.
it open bothers me. I don't like it.
Wh-
Triggers my tryptophobia somehow.
When people had open heart surgery in the past, before they had all this orthoscopic surgery?
Sure.
What? Don't they have? Wasn't that part of the deal? Like you have to break the chest plate. Didn't you hear people say like they have to get through they have to break through
Gotta
the
open
chest
the
plate or
cage.
something to get? Oof. Yeah. I mean, I'm
I like to break through your chest plate.
pretty trusting of doctors, so as long as I'm asleep. But that's still scary.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I
They
know.
saw it open.
I know. But like
Buzzsaw.
I had my face peeled open and stuff, and I was just kind of like, as long as I'm asleep when you do this, I don't know. I'm more scared to go to my regular physician and get a checkup than I was the day of my reconstructive surgery. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was like, I'll be asleep. They're doctors. They're fine. When I wake up, it'll be over.
Well, it wasn't over.
Not
It's
for
all
you.
swollen
Not
and
for
shiny
you.
and disgusting.
Yeah.
Gross. Your face was gross.
He told me to go home.
Can't look at you.
Only because, by the way, I had a little ointment. Just a little ointment, and he said, oh, it's shiny. It's too shiny. That's
Your
what he
skin
said.
was all stretched tight, swollen and shiny. It's disgusting. Go. I said, you're not healed yet. Go home. Nobody wants to see that. Your eye wasn't moving. It was just kind of like this. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Want me to tell you some jokes?
Well, they just cut a big
No.
hole in my
Right,
two
so I
big
said,
holes
go
in my
home.
face.
I said, go home.
Anyway, I came out looking better than ever.
Well, I think you look fine now. I wouldn't send you home now.
It does kind of suck that one of my eyes is a little wonky. But, you know, what do you... If that's the worst that comes of it...
You're fine. You guys watch baseball last night?
No, actually I did not. Huh. Here, go ahead. Are you going to...
I just asked if you watched. It was a good game. That was it.
Oh, I thought there was going to be
baseball playoffs started. I know you don't watch baseball during the regular season, but I thought maybe you watched it during the playoffs.
I watched it in the regular season. Just I didn't watch as much this year as last year, but I watched some.
You watched it one year when they won the World Series.
Yeah, if the Royals are in. I mean,
right.
That's when I watched.
No, I had like a 4-year run there where I was watching it constantly. My ex-wife said, I thought that you weren't a big sports person. I'm really sick of watching Royals games. So I had to like switch to radio for a while. But man, then the year, 2 years before they actually got that wild card win, they were like a win or two away from possibly getting a wild card. I don't remember if it was the year before or a couple years before, but that was when I was like, the Royals could actually be in the World Series or in the playoffs someday.
Text line says, reconstructive surgery and you still look like a gray.
There it goes. Just pick up where we left off yesterday and every day before for the last 17 years, calling me ugly. And you wonder why I lash out occasionally.
You're not ugly. You're very handsome. I told you today, every day I start the show with how magnificent you look. Mm-hmm. Every day.
But it's, okay. You're right.
Every day I give you affirmation. You have a nice shirt on. I tell you something. Your face looks good today. Whatever it is.
That's true.
Every day.
Affirmation.
And then as the day rolls on,
a few drinks in,
I continue to tell you how lovely you are. And you continue to make sexist jokes.
Look, no, I never made a sexist joke. Let's do Ticket Fairy right now. Want to do Ticket Fairy right now? Text Fairy to 96500. This week, everyone, every winner gets a pair of tickets to Brew at the Zoo with Atlas Genius on October 19th, and one-day tickets to, what's it called? Renaissance Festival.
Oh, really? You like that, right?
I like being outside in the fall.
I haven't been in a while. It's fun. Turkey
Why,
legs,
you don't like it?
Oh, I hate it.
You like turkey legs?
I know you like it. I like turkey legs, but I don't have to go walk around the woods.
That's fun.
To get a turkey leg.
Your kids like it?
I've never taken them.
Well, they'd probably love it.
I don't want them to be a part of that. Sometimes you have to make better decisions for your children. Look, I'm probably not going to live to them to be in their 20s, but what I don't want is for them to call me and be like, hey, come to the Renaissance Festival and watch me make candles. I'm part of the team this year. No.
Okay. You're a big-time Renaissance Festival. Okay.
You want your kid to be a Renaissance Ren Fester?
I don't need him to be,
No, I'm asking you. Do you want him to be in it?
There's a risk.
You're right.
There is a risk.
But there's a risk if you take him. Then it's like Cub Scouts.
Like taking your kid to a car show when he's little, maybe he becomes a car guy.
If he likes it, it makes him happy, then sure.
Okay.
Ideally, not for me, but if he likes it, sure.
My ex, when I met her,
those are theater kids.
She came to my house. She came to my house. We just started dating. This was my ex, and she said, let's hang out. I'll come over to your house. And I said, okay. And she said, I can be there around this time. I don't remember what time it was. It was dark. Mm-hmm. And she showed up, and I said, well, why couldn't you meet earlier for dinner? Sorry that you... And she was like, yeah, sorry, I had to work. I didn't know what she was doing. What do you mean you had to work? It took me a while to find out. She was keeping a secret from me that she was a dancer at the Renaissance Festival.
A dancer?
Like a dance, like a...
Oh, like a jig. Like a jig dancer.
And I was like, oh,
my sisters worked there like every year growing up.
I had a totally different impression of you.
I had to help them put their little corset things on. Remember that?
You had to help your sister do that?
Yeah.
Gross.
Well, I mean, it was like
I have a sister.
Thing.
I can't imagine that.
No, just
I wouldn't be able to look her in the eye this year at Thanksgiving, putting a corset on my sister.
Well, it wasn't. Maybe that's not the right thing. They had a shirt on and then like a little green vest that would go over, and you pull it really tight. And it's suck in and you pull it.
Yeah, sounds like a corset.
Yeah, they worked the Renaissance Festival. It was fun.
Did you massage?
Hey, people are texting, shut your whore mouth, the Renaissance Festival. I understand. I'm not Okay, yes, I was poking fun at it, I guess, but it's something that I don't enjoy. But I'm glad you enjoy it.
Every city
it's fine.
has one.
You know
so.
what? It's good. Every city has one. The places are packed. We've got tickets to give to you because you want to go.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm just saying it ain't for me.
It's really fun if you take mushrooms, too.
I had one problem.
Why?
With it
It's just a circle in the woods. It's not.
because everyone's in character.
Yeah, you get into it.
fine
Yeah.
sir, why don't you come over here?
There's stuff to
I
do.
had someone get a little aggressive.
What's there
with
to
me
do?
a few
You
years
can
ago.
watch jousting.
Yeah.
You can make the hand
I went to
candles.
medieval
You can
times when I
watch
was
a little-
6.
You can watch a play.
We don't have medieval times here, so. And I think did it go out of business?
This guy says, F you guys, or girl, I guess. I was a fire spinner
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
Renfest.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
fun,
yeah,
man. You
yeah.
see the king and queen come through every now and then. It's fun. And then there's a little horse that you ride down on the stream.
Yeah.
You joust.
I think I liked
I
it when
did
I
that
was a
one time.
kid
I
a
actually
lot, but I
won.
was hoping there would be more rides. I didn't realize that it was like, old-timey thing. But once I figured out what it was, I wanted to go every year. My parents took me. Eat the food, walk around.
Turkey
I
leg,
still
man,
go.
it's the best.
I go with my brother. He enjoys it. It's just, something to do outside
Yeah.
in the
It's a
fall.
nice fall thing.
Oh, it says the woman from Renaissance festivals make great ex-wives. I have one too. That's what the text line says.
I wonder if it's the same one. I saw this. This has nothing to do
A lot of
with
people are
the-
saying they're in there.
That they work
In
at it?
Yeah, one person said there used to be a ferry. I don't know. They
I
have
don't remember
ferries there?
seeing ferries there.
It's a fun time if you are open to having a fun time.
I'm open to having a fun time.
No.
There's a lot of things that I do that are fun,
don't
that I
think you
enjoy.
are. No, I don't think you are.
But I don't have to go to a make-believe place in the wilderness.
He's more of a corn maze kind of a guy when it comes to fall stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I do like pumpkin patches and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fun too, sure.
Yeah, I don't like Festival.
I know you don't like any of
They're
that.
all wearing sandals and they stink and they're hot and it's sweaty.
Who's wearing sandals? They're wearing
Everybody
armor
there.
and it's fall and it's cool.
Yeah. You see knights walking around and stuff. It's cool.
Dirty.
So anyway, they're a sponsor. And we have tickets to give you. Totally unrelated to Renaissance Festival, but I saw this list, and you guys may have seen this list of, I know we've seen lists probably exactly like this before, the worst albums from great bands.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't remember doing this, but I'm positive we've done this at some point. We have to have. Because magazines will publish these. But this list that this guy that I shouldn't say friends with, but this guy that I sort of know, he picked some of the albums out of this list from this blog. And Weezer, Ratitude.
Weezer's got to be up there.
Ratitude was the one that they put on the list for Weezer.
Okay.
Now you
What's
kinda-
on Ratitude?
That was the one that had. I actually thought that album was better than the Hurley one.
Hurley.
Remember Hurley? That was the one that I thought that was
And
worse.
the,
Ratitude had like some kind of radio hits on it. It had, man,
There was the Red
there was a
album.
song that we played quite a bit from Ratitude. I thought, "I'm Your Daddy."
If you're wondering if I want you to.
oh yeah, yeah,
Oh, is
yeah,
that on Ratitude?
yeah.
Okay.
I feel like Hurley was worse, wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't hate that song.
Then
Who wrote this article?
I'm saying Hurley the album.
No,
wasn't
no,
it?
no. Who wrote this article that you're doing?
Oh, so this one, like, this is an actual list that this guy had put together.
Just a guy?
I sort of, like I said, I don't want to call him a friend. It's from a blog.
Okay.
And it's the 40 terrible albums by greatest artists. And then there's another article in Guitar Player magazine where they did worst or bad albums from great bands, and those are a little more rock friendly. So he just kind of compiled them
Got
and
it.
put them together. Because like a lot of these rock albums, I looked at the Guitar Player article, and I'm not all that familiar. Like Led Zeppelin, the song remains the same. You're a Zeppelin fan. They say that album's no good. Is that true?
yeah.
U2 Pop. I will agree that album was no good. But oh no, you know what? I was thinking of Zeropa. I don't even. Which one was Pop?
Pop was the.
Was that?
Remember the music video for
it's
it?
not. It's a beautiful day. That's
that
way
was,
earlier, right?
Yeah.
Damn it.
I would have thought Zeropa would have been the U2 album they would pick.
What was the music video that was on that?
Look up what was on Pop and tell me. Then Aerosmith, "Rockin' a Hard Place."
I think that was the one with Discotheque, which was bad, right?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
See,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I saw
and
that
then,
name,
yeah.
I immediately thought Zeropa and thought Numb, which The Edge, didn't he sing that song? And I kind of like that song. Don't wiggle,
Of course,
don't
and I think that had
don't
Lemon.
wiggle. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Aerosmith,
song.
Rockin' a Hard Place. I'll be honest, I don't hate Aerosmith. When they showed the cover of this album, I don't even recognize it. What, do you guys know Rockin'? Look at the cover of that. Do you recognize that as an Aerosmith album? Looks like Stonehenge.
I don't know. No.
Oh, that's on the list. Again, this was the one from Guitar Player or whatever. Pink Floyd, A Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Yeah.
Is this after they'd split?
That's a terrible album.
Muddy Waters, Electric Mud. I don't have an opinion on that one. AC/DC, Flick of the Switch. No idea. Van Halen, Diver Down.
Every album.
Lazo, thoughts on Diver
Diver
Down?
Down is the one with the Roy Orbison cover.
Maybe.
That may not be.
Is that Pretty Woman, right? Then they covered that?
Yeah, Diver Down. I think that's it. Let me look.
Dimebag Darrell once said, quote, "There is no greater disappointment to a rock fan than to hear your favorite band add keyboard crap to their sound." I guess.
Oh, no. No, it's fine. It does have Pretty Woman on it, so that's the album that I was thinking of, but it's got Where Have All the Good Times Gone, Dancing in the Street.
Those all
Oh, yeah.
covers?
Looking at the cover of the album, I thought, I feel like that was a pretty big Van Halen album. I don't know. As opposed to like the Aerosmith album, Rockin' a Hard Place, I don't even recognize that. I just assume I would recognize every Aerosmith album cover. ZZ Top, Recycler, which of course is on this list. I say of
Who
course
cares?
because I had one ZZ Top album when I was a kid, and that was it.
Did
It
you
probably
like
came
it?
out when I was a kid. I hated it. Black Sabbath, Born Again. I don't know anything about that. And then Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys have
Which
personal
had
ones?
one pretty
What?
good song.
Do you have personal ones that you can think of?
Well, there was other stuff on the list that was more our wheelhouse. Coldplay. How do you say that album? Milo. Zelato.
Yeah.
Oh, Liz Phair, her 2003 album.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like music heads liked early Liz Phair. I was
Exile in Guyville is one of the greatest records of all time.
and I was totally unaware of that at the time. I didn't find out about her probably until 2003 when you and our old boss in the room said, no, she used to be, or she actually is kind of cool. This is just she's going more pop. Kiss, I don't know anything about them. The Beatles, Yellow Submarine, is that a bad album? So
Yeah.
it
It's
is.
their best.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stupid.
It's their best.
The Rolling Stones, Dirty Work.
Does that got like the Harlem
What's
Shuffle
on
on it or
Dirty
something?
I don't know. Bruce Springsteen, Working on a Dream, 2009.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Prince, Rave Unto the Joy, Fantastic, 1999. I don't know.
That was 1999, right?
Was it? Is that
Wasn't that what that was on?
is that when that came out? Pink Floyd, The Final Cut. David Bowie, Never Let Me Down, 1987. Oh, MGMT, Congratulations was on the list.
Yeah.
That band, that should be a different list. Bands that put out great albums and then just kind of continue to disappoint you
Block
Yeah.
Party.
throughout the rest of their
Block
career.
Party's
That first album is so good.
Block Party's got to be the ultimate
one of the
example.
best debuts ever.
Remember when Mark Hoppus tweeted, I love that tweet, said, I want every day to feel like Block Party's first album.
Yeah.
It's true, that album was so perfect from beginning to end. We all
The
fell in
best.
love with it. We thought it was the greatest thing ever. And then they did like techno
Man.
and it was bizarre.
Yeah.
You
wasn't
expect
great.
a sophomore slump. That's not a huge surprise. Or maybe you don't like something as much. Maybe the first album will always be your favorite. But what about the bands that you wouldn't have liked them at all if you were basing your decision or your opinion on everything's second album and later, you know? Because I don't think I would like Block Party.
No, me neither.
That new Jack White record, that was rough. I didn't like that very much. Was
only-
it Boarding House?
Yeah, I only
Reach?
gave it like a kind of a quick listen. He gets so bluesy and stuff sometimes. And
You think that's the worst record from a good artist?
It's definitely his worst record, yeah,
See,
in my opinion.
so you're back on the bad albums from great artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a great artist. I think that record was horrible.
Bad albums from great artists that we haven't already mentioned.
Yeah. A lot of them that I would think to mention were on the list.
Billy Breeze, I think, was just a
I
horrible.
knew you were going to do that. Billy Breeze is a great record.
Well, that's a horrible album from a great band.
But it has one song. Breathe,
No, it has
right?
a lot of songs. That's a great record.
What was that song? Breathe. What was it? It was like a single that they played on Free. Okay. I'm going breathe. Free. Yeah, that was a disappointment.
Oh, stop it. It's a great album.
We're talking about
Fish
Fish.
is never missed.
In case how many albums did they put out since then? Did they stop? Were they?
Oh no, they've put out a
They
bunch
kept putting them out.
since
Okay.
then.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I didn't really like But I don't even want to say it because I do like it, so I'm not even going to say it. It's not worthy of being
I think
on
there's
this
bands
list.
that I love that just went and did horrible things.
Yeah.
Like the whole Billy Bragg and Wilco thing is just a debacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
And Elvis Costello and Burt Bacharach is horrible.
That didn't work out.
I don't know why they do those two things. I think to myself, like, what?
Yeah.
They're two of my all-time favorite artists, and it's just like a 10-year stint there where you're just doing things they're unlistenable.
Yeah. There's a lot of hip-hop artists I can think of that I really like that put out bad albums and then came back around. You know, they weren't done. They just put out a really bad album. But it's funny that on that list, the very first thing I thought of was Weezer before I actually read the list, but I thought of Hurley for some reason.
That's what I think, yeah.
And then the first thing I see on the list is Weezer, Ratitude. And people put on all these different lists, I saw different Van Halen albums on three different lists. One had the Diver Down or whatever it's called. One had Van Halen 2 and one had Van Halen 3. So I think people are just very particular about that. Oh, what about, this is a good example.
Diarrhea of a Madman, the text line says.
Was that a bad album?
Diarrhea of a Madman?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I thought it was great.
But I mean, honestly, did Ozzy fans not like that album?
No, I think they liked it.
Yeah, I thought that was one of his big ones.
Oh, yeah, that Metallica and Lou Reed.
Oh, that was bad.
God, that was terrible.
This is a really good one. The Clash cut the crap.
Yeah.
Because Mick's not there, and they call it The Clash. Even calling it The Clash seems a bit wrong.
Yeah.
And that album doesn't even have, like, one good, like... you talk about Pink Floyd. Who got the Pink Floyd name? You'd know that. I don't.
I think Gilmore got it, right?
Whoever got it.
I think David Gilmore got it.
He put out an album in like the 90s, that Division Bell thing. That was an age where I just bought everything. I had money, I'd buy whatever CD they were promoting at the time.
Yeah.
Even those albums that people look back on and say were bad, usually they had like one good song on them. That Clash album really did not. Cut the Crap didn't have a good song on it. So that's probably a pretty good one for the list. Metallica, I don't know enough about them. Guns N' Roses, someone said, obviously, Chinese Mike show already, but then on another list they say it's the spaghetti incident. So, depends on who you ask.
What are you going to do, huh?
Now, on one of the lists, on two of the lists, I saw R.E.M., and one of them had Monster on the list, which...
No, I like Monster.
That's What's the Frequency, Kenneth, and I liked that album.
Of course.
And then someone else put Around the Sun, which was the album that came out in the 2000s, which I felt like that album was proof that this band has still got it. I thought that album was good, and I thought it got good reviews at the time. That was probably like 2004, something like that. And then someone did put Chris Gaines on one of the lists, Garth Brooks, but I don't know if you can count that. It's an alter ego.
Yeah.
And then also, can you count posthumous
Yeah, I'd say
records?
Around the Sun was not great.
I'm
looking at that track listing now.
Maybe I just was going through my REM phase at the time, and so I suppose I haven't gone back and listened to it much over the years.
Oh, yeah, you really like the new Arctic Monkeys record, don't you?
No, I like that
thought
single,
you liked
okay.
it.
I liked the single more than most people did.
Oh, okay.
Took me a while, but
Yeah, I
I
think
tried. I really tried listening to that.
Yeah.
And it's one where I kept the entire album on my phone, and when a song came on, I was like, all right, I'm going to get through this 4.5 minutes here. Let's check this thing out. But I could not get into that album. I liked the single.
Yeah, I couldn't do it either.
Better than most people. That's about it. Lazlo, you agreed on that one.
Yeah.
The Arctic Monkeys.
I was thinking New Adventures of Hi-Fi, which I think is a great record.
I didn't see that on any list. Someone did put, here you go, Block Party Weekend in the City's on a list of bad albums by good bands. So many of these are like classic rock stuff and metal and stuff. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about Iron Maiden. Oh,
I'm sure all the records are great.
this one has, this list has Taking Back Sunday New Again on it. That's when the band was all split apart. And it was still pretty good. And I happen to have an autographed poster from that album that Lazlo got me for Christmas one year. I don't know if you remember that, but it's still framed.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, you got me an autographed poster of it was Taking Back Sunday New Again. It was like the promotional poster for it. You got it signed, and I have it framed.
Where is it?
It's in my bedroom.
Really?
Yep, hanging on the wall, framed. No one I've ever dated has liked that. They're like, maybe put it somewhere else. But and one of the albums I saw, which I'm not the world's biggest cake fan, but I like cake. Someone put Comfort Eagle on there, and I feel like you can't do that just because.
Does that make you angry?
Huh?
Makes you angry.
Yeah, I feel like that song alone.
I love the song Comfort Eagle.
That's probably my favorite cake song of all time.
Yeah.
So can an album be included on a list like that if it has a song that good? Arguably the band's single best song.
It's
because anytime I mention that song, a lot of people say the same thing. That's my favorite cake song. That's my favorite cake song. That's such an underplayed cake song. Love it. That's probably my favorite. Well, then it shouldn't be on the list of worst albums.
Oh, Dr. Dre's Compton.
I thought about Dr. Dre, but
the first two are just classics.
he had that album that Suge put out without his permission, right?
Yeah,
which was Chronic 2000.
I consider Chronic 2001, and then Compton was like his last one.
Right, and that really shouldn't have happened.
No, it
probably
shouldn't have happened.
That Oasis record, they Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, they put out after the one that had Don't Go Away on it. That was a real horrible record.
Not a fan?
Anything after that, right?
Anything
what was the one?
bad?
The one with Don't Go Away on it. That was Be Here Now, I think, which was the end of the 90s. So anything they put out in the 2000s and later was horrible.
You think they'll ever
make a great record again?
Yeah.
I think they have the ability, but
that's the question.
They can.
I think they do. I think they have the ability because if you listen to that solo stuff, they both still can write
songs,
but I'm saying
they're not
songs.
great. They're not as
not
good together.
finished.
They're just pretty good songs solo.
Yeah, but they will never get together. They can't.
Why couldn't they do it like those old rumors we heard about Blink-182 or whatever, where they just do it in separate parts of the country or whatever? You finish your parts, I'll record mine, send it to you. Why couldn't they do that?
I thought for sure after the whole Manchester, when they had that big concert after the bombing, like there was a lot of rumors they were going to get back together.
Yeah.
I feel like if that didn't do it, then...
I guess the last time they did it was 2008. I just looked it up. So
what you don't want to have happen is have them wait until they're, 70 and say, "All right, we finally decided to put out our record." And you're like, oh. It's like when Lazlo
well, they're getting there now,
said
right?
that he didn't want the Smiths to get back together and told Johnny Marr that. Like, you know what? Just don't, because what are you going to put out another album? What if it's no good? Right now, you're batting 1,000.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Well, they already went past it, so they might as well go back. There's some things that are supposed to die beautifully. The Smiths, one of them. Oasis did not die beautifully. They outlived their welcome. And wrote, in my opinion, a couple masterpieces.
Right.
And then just kept making records, and you're like, you guys, you should have stopped. If you were going to do this, you should have stopped earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, the exact same thing could be said about Block Party.
Yeah.
Should have stopped after that first record.
Yeah.
If they had stopped after that first record and said, we can't get along, we've broken up, you'd be like, that was the greatest band.
Yeah.
And we would have said, they would have been the greatest band to ever live had they stayed
Like
together.
Nirvana,
But they just kept trying.
But they kept trying, and then we learned that... I don't know. Do you think that you hear bands talk about how they don't want to sound like the first album? Because if it sounds too much like the first album, then people say, oh, it's sophomore slump because it's not going to be as good. So you try and go for a different sound. Man, I say if you find a sound that people love, at least try and stick with it somewhat. Block Party didn't at all. At all. And it's not like they haven't heard someone mention it. Certainly, those guys have gone online and seen the world say, why couldn't they write another good song? What happened to them, and why can't they write another good song? So they're aware of it, but either they don't care or they just can't. I don't know. But when that album came out, he was talking all kinds of trash on Oasis and everything, and he was kind of in a position to. Like, people were like, yeah, right now you may be King of the Hill, King S. Because everybody was talking about that record. And if you, for some reason, just never listened to it, or if you're too young to remember it, Block Party's first album
was really good. I don't know if people like it as much as we do.
You don't think?
It's damn near perfect.
It is a really, really good album. And there are people that I have introduced it to years later. They're like, I'm not that familiar with them. Go listen to the first album, and they come back and say, wow, that album is great. So if you're not familiar with it, I would say give it a
I
shot.
know you guys don't like Radiohead, but Pablo Honey was
Their worst.
pretty bad album, outside of a couple songs.
I don't know.
In terms of what they did the rest of their career.
You know, I like the In Rainbows album. Isn't that
love
weird?
In Rainbows.
Of all the albums,
That's
because
very
I give
popular.
them all a listen, you know,
Yeah.
and I like some of it just fine, and I even really like some of the songs. But that was the only album of theirs that I can remember like listening to all the way through, and then wanting to listen to it again and
It might
again.
be my favorite.
It's definitely my favorite. I like that album a lot. Okay, so now the question is, we've talked about all these great bands, bad albums, or great albums turned out to be bad bands, which that could be true. Maybe it was a bad band who got lucky. If you only have one good album and then put out 20 terrible ones, maybe you
But then
weren't-
don't you question it somehow, too? Like I just said, Oasis didn't write anything good in the 2000s, but they did have a couple good songs.
Exactly, yes.
On crappy albums,
Yes,
right?
that's what
like
I was
Stop
saying.
Crying Your Heart Out is a great song.
you at least have a good song on an album, then I think that excludes you from the this was terrible. Cake, Comfort Eagle.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's, like I said, I think they're one of their best songs.
It's definitely one of
So
the
you
best.
have to take that album off the list.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, Oasis, if there's a good song, even those Pink Floyd albums that weren't really Pink Floyd albums, at least there were a couple of good
Right.
songs.
Yeah.
But I believe in my heart of hearts that I tried to listen to everything Block Party put out for a decade or more,
Yeah.
and never found
Right.
a single thing worth going back and listening to again. I wanted, and the thing is, I wanted to like it so badly. Which is totally different than going in like you do with some artists and you already have this preconceived notion. You're like, I don't like this band. And then, someone has to work on you and say, no, listen to it with fresh ears. But with them, I just couldn't do it. So, trip for two at 2. Your chance to see White Reaper in Austin. Should we just start that?
I'm going to go with Hoist as the worst record of all time.
Okay.
Hoist.
Hoist is awesome.
All right, do you want to play Comfort Eagle by Cake or do you want to play Banquet by Block Party?
I don't care. You can play them both.
Okay, I'm going to start with this one.
This is the Church of Lazlo on 95
Flashing with paparazzi involved in an incident.
These infected monkeys.
This is Headlines on the Church of Lazlo.
Yo, Sugar Wiener, hit me with that news.
News.
Get me updated.
News. So
Make it positive.
Amber Geiger.
Optimism.
Amber Geiger was found guilty of murder yesterday. That was the big story. We talked about that. Well, now they have to figure out what's the sentence going to be, right? My brother texted me last night and he was asking about the Amber Geiger thing, and we've discussed it a little bit, but he was saying, once you get inside the house, he was like, I could see the door, you go in, maybe it's dark, but how long until you go, wait, that's not my sofa, that's not where I hung my TV, and it's not my TV, this isn't my stuff here. And in my mind, I started to imagine a little more of a scenario, and I have no evidence, I just started to imagine a scenario where you walk into the wrong house, he panics and says, why is there someone in my house? Which is a reasonable reaction, going, whoa, what the hell? And now there's, surprise and excitement, whatever, and then she pulls the gun and pulls the trigger, right? Like, do you think that by the time she pulled the trigger, she knew that she was in the wrong apartment? Because remember I said
I don't know.
I didn't think
I can't
so.
put
I've started to think, after my brother texted me that, I was like, yeah, you're right. You would, once you walk in there,
I feel like you would.
you would say, well, this isn't my place. And then you could see him saying, what are you doing? Why are you
There
in my
was one
house?
time I walked out of a bar and walked by my car, and there was someone in it. Mm-hmm. And I looked at my car, and I went, oh, it must not be my car, and just kept walking. And then I was like, but my car is parked right around here somewhere. And I turned around, and I happened to be living in Florida at the time, but my car still had Michigan plates on it.
Yeah.
So I turned around and looked at the car. The guy was in it, and it had Michigan plates. I was with somebody else. I was like, that's my car.
Right.
And they're like, no, it's not. There's no way that's your car. I'm like, man, look at the Michigan plates. That's my car. So we went back to the car. The guy's in it, rummaging through things. And I said, hey, man, that's my car. And then he said, no, it's not. It's my car. And I went back around and looked at the plates again. And I was like, man, that is my car. Get out. And then he just threw the door open and took off running.
So it was yours.
It was mine.
It was
but
yours,
yeah,
yeah.
it was so shocking that there was somebody in there. My brain wouldn't click to the fact that there was somebody in my car. It kept thinking, my brain kept saying to myself, now, granted, I'd had a few drinks, but my brain kept saying to myself, that must be the wrong car.
Yeah.
That must be the wrong car. You're looking at this wrong.
What kind of car did you have when we met?
A Beretta.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You had the Beretta. How could I forget? Okay, so Amber Geiger, she says that...
So your brain could play tricks on you is what I'm saying.
Yes, and she said during her testimony that... She said, that it's not about hate was one of her quotes. It's about being scared. She talked about how she has to live with this and how, terrible the whole thing is. Well, now they have brought some text messages to light that they wanted to show the judge before she decides the sentencing. And it shows her, they don't say, at least in any of the articles that I've read, who she's talking to. They just, they put up on the, screen there in the courtroom the text messages. What are you laughing about?
That's a text line.
Oh. They put up on the screen her text messages, and it has phone numbers, but it doesn't say who they are, whatever. So, sounds like she was at a parade, a Martin Luther King Jr. parade, and she's texting.
Okay.
And there is a text about, someone says, when does this end? And then she says, when Martin Luther King Jr. is dead, oh, wait. And then you're kind of like, what? Okay. And then there's some talk about, I can't get to the other side of the street. We'll just pepper spray all those people. But then there's something about her talking to this person about a dog. And the dog thing is key here. I don't know why I already had audio of her testifying that, this wasn't about hate.
I feel like a terrible person. I feel like a piece of crap. I hate that I have to live with this every single month.
So in these texts, they say, jokes about Martin Luther King Jr.'s death, and then mocks her black colleagues and discusses a dog that her friend warns may be racist. I read all the texts. The only way I could find to read them was to actually watch the courtroom video and then zoom in, look at everything that they were putting up there. And she's talking about how, I wish I had a dog, but my apartment is too small or whatever. And then this person says, well, this dog may be a little bit racist. And then she responds, and it would seem that she's responding to that text, it's okay, I'm the same.
That's not great. That's not great.
Not great. And I mean,
it's not proof of premeditated murder.
It's not. No.
But it's not great.
But it's just one more reminder.
So they already decided that it's murder.
Yeah.
Now to have that thrown up in the courtroom while they're trying to figure out what to do with you, you're starting to lose any sort of sympathy you did gain by the fact that maybe you walked into the wrong house.
And it's just another reminder, as we've said so many times on this program, that if you are a minority in this country, you are well aware that white people are racist, that people are racist, and that racism is rampant around the world, but in this country for certain. But I still think you don't fully understand just how racist
and
you would say, oh, I have to live it. And look, I'm not pretending to know what it's like to have to live it. I'm just telling you, I think you'd be surprised at how many people you think might be an ally aren't your allies.
Absolutely.
It's really insane. Mike Pompeo, he's a guy.
Know him.
He works with Trump.
He's from Kansas, the great state of Kansas.
Yeah.
He is.
When I see him speak, I think, man, can they just make him president or something? Could that, it sounds better. Yeah. But, he's obviously trying to help cover for Trump. And I guess it's a big deal that he was on this call with the Ukrainian president, or that he listened in to Trump's call with the Ukrainian president. And he admitted to that when speaking to reporters.
As for was I on the phone call, I was on the phone call. The phone call was in the context of, now I guess I've been the Secretary of State for coming on a year and a half. I know precisely what the American policy is with respect to Ukraine.
Okay, he did not elaborate on the conversation and did not answer any questions about whether anything in it had raised a red flag for him. And I have no idea if it's inappropriate for him to be listening in on those phone calls or not. The media didn't imply that it was.
Secretary of State, I would assume.
I would kind of assume that you maybe do listen to
I had no idea. I would not have assumed that until just now.
That they listen, or that
I would have never assumed that when the president calls a prime minister or a president or hell, even a dictator, that somebody else just sits in and listens to the phone.
No, I wouldn't either. But what I'm saying is that in and of itself, if you found out that Obama said, look, I got this real tense situation and wherever, and he asked Hillary Clinton to listen in on the call, I want you to listen in on this, we wouldn't say, you can't do that. That's right. That I know of. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that's why Pompeo was on this, listening to this call, though.
Right.
I'm saying
you'd say that's
in and
her
of
job
itself,
is to deal with foreign leaders, right? And
would it be?
Yeah, but I wouldn't know that there'd be people listening in on the phone all the time when the president's on there. That's not what I would assume.
But now that we know it, it's not surprising, right?
I don't know. I feel like the president. I don't. Maybe.
mean, the calls are
I know they
recorded
probably record all those calls anyways, but I feel like the president could be like, "Look, I got to talk to Trudeau for a second and close the door. Like everybody, get out." Mm-hmm. I feel like that would be more normal than, "Hey, there's another president on the phone. All right, everybody, put on their headphones. We got to listen to it." That seems more unlikely to me, but I've never been in the White House, so I don't know how it works.
Bernie, we mentioned this earlier, had a little health issue.
We are now learning that Senator Bernie Sanders has undergone a medical procedure. He is going to be off the campaign trail for the next few days, canceling his events. Here's the deal. He was found to have, according to his campaign, a blockage in an artery and 2 stents inserted.
Okay, so he's taking some time off from the campaign. Hopefully he will be okay. What else?
Where did he go? What hospital?
I don't know. Did you...
I don't know.
Read what hospital he went to. I don't know where he was when he found out. And how do you find out? Do you have a chest pain? And then they say, let's run a test real quick? He did have a chest pain?
He went to the hospital and they checked, yeah.
Okay, the story that I read just said that they found out that he had this blockage in the...
He had a chest pain yesterday after an event.
Well, I have chest pain all the time.
Me too.
But
I think they mean like debilitating chest pain.
Well, so this leads us into our next story because my friend, and I won't name any names here, but he deals with chest pain, and... he's been really concerned about it in the past, but in the past, his doctors have said, we think it's probably a bit of anxiety and acid reflux combination of these things. Maybe I don't see anything right here, but he also travels for work, and he experienced some really, really bad chest pain, I guess about a week ago, and he texted me about it, and I said, go to the emergency room, and he said, I'm not going to the emergency room. It's too expensive. I'm going to go to an urgent care clinic. And I was like, what are they going to tell you? They're not going to have a cardiologist at the urgent care clinic. They can't take a look at you, can they? Don't they have to pump you full of dye or at least get a picture or do some sort of stress test, do something? He said, I can't pay for it. Well, because he's worried about what that bill is going to be that he gets back from the ER, even though he has insurance. Well, CBS News did this whole thing about people getting huge bills from emergency rooms. Now, what happens sometimes, like in this woman's case, she had to put off her wedding. She postponed it because of her medical bill. She goes to the doctor. The doctor says, oh my gosh, you have an emergency. We need to get you to an emergency room. Now, her doctor is a doctor that's in coverage, whatever. She goes there. Her insurance covers it. The doctor says, we need to get you to an emergency room. She is transported from her doctor's office to the hospital via an ambulance, and then they say, we got to perform surgery.
Her fiancé took her to this Baylor Scott and White clinic, where doctors told her it was an emergency.
The doctor came in and said, your ovary is a big hemorrhaging mess right now. We have to take that out.
She was transferred by ambulance to a larger Baylor Scott and White hospital for surgery, where she presented her insurance card.
She gives them the insurance card. They perform whatever this surgery is, and then she gets a bill in the mail for $40,000 because they say, technically, we are out of network. Now, I honestly thought when I started reading these examples that people had submitted to CBS News that they were just going to say, I have insurance, and it still costs me this much in network. Now, she was out of network. But even if you're in network, I've gone to an ER before where they say, yes, we accept this insurance. You still get a big bill. Not always, I guess, but I expect a big bill from the ER. Like, I'm scared to go there. Aren't you? For money reasons? Like, don't you try and avoid it?
No.
Oh, I'm definitely
just because
scared
I take the kids to Children's Mercy. I've never gotten a big bill with I have the same
ER?
insurance as you.
To the emergency room? I have gotten, so like when I couldn't stop throwing up.
I don't go to the emergency room myself because that's just not something I would think of to do for myself. I would have to have like a broken leg or something.
Right.
I just wouldn't do it. If I had like a chest pain, I just wait that out till the next day and call my doctor.
And go get a stress test.
But not because my insurance is usually covered most of the stuff.
Well, so I know that when I went that time when my ex-wife took me and I was there for a few hours, my out-of-pocket, I have insurance and everything, but I think my out-of-pocket was like $2,400 or something.
Really?
Yeah, and I was only there for maybe 5 or 6 hours, and as I recall, they gave me one anti-nausea tab, prescription anti-nausea tab, and then hooked me up to an IV to get me hydrated, and that was it. And then I sat in the bed there for a while. We all know the story.
I don't know the story.
It was when I was throwing up blood because I couldn't stop throwing up, and then I ruptured my esophagus, and then I became extremely dehydrated. My wife said, okay, I think I'm going to take you to the hospital. So...
Why were you throwing up blood?
Because I'd ruptured my esophagus.
Why were you throwing up to begin with? Just because you were sick?
Yes, because I was sick. A woman jumps in.
No, why?
You already know the story.
I don't know the story.
I had norovirus.
This all comes back.
This is not the stripper incident, though. This is
okay.
This
you know
is
what?
the
You're right.
soccer
Now I know
incident.
why you want to skip past this.
I knew you'd say it was a stripper thing. This was
and
the
your
soccer.
ex-wife had to take you to the hospital because you got no. Look, I understand. Let's just move on.
This was from the soccer.
Okay,
indoor soccer.
Of course,
field.
indoor soccer.
It was.
Just okay. You know what? Let's just move on. I think it's. I am sorry that I brought it up.
No, you're not sorry. You're not sorry at all. And
you know what?
It wasn't about the stripper. It was
I
a
forgot.
different
Of
time.
course,
The stripper I was living in
indoor
the apartment.
soccer.
Didn't go to the hospital for
of
the
course.
stripper one.
Okay.
A Bronx woman
Sorry about that. Whew.
Bronx woman jumped into a lion enclosure. I thought when I saw
lion enclosure.
Yeah, a lion's enclosure at the zoo. I thought, wow, this is a hell of a way to commit suicide. Like suicide by cop, you hear about things like that, but suicide by zoo animal. Whoa. I don't think I've ever heard of such a thing. I've heard of people falling into enclosures and stuff, people being injured or people being scared, but I've never heard of someone jumping in there on purpose and then hoping to get killed. Well, she wasn't hoping to get killed, actually.
The unidentified woman, already on the inside of the lion enclosure fence, waves at the giant cat. Then, as the lion stands still glaring at her, she dances, seemingly carefree, with only a small moat separating her from the animal.
Okay, well, so they wanted to identify this woman because they had these pictures that other people at the park had taken of her in video, and they have now identified her. They found her Instagram, and she was posting this for Instagram, and she was saying, I'm not scared. Like animals can sense love, and I wasn't scared. Kids weren't scared. It was just other adults that were scared, but I knew that lion wasn't going to hurt me. Okay. Okay, that line definitely could have hurt you.
It didn't, though, right?
It didn't. She got out of there. It was a woman captured on video jumping into the line enclosure. I mean, did you see any of the... Look at how close she is. There's the lion. She's standing there with hands up, and then she kind of does like a little bit of a shimmy at one point.
Was the lion nice to her?
It's just really suspicious. It has a very suspicious look on its face, like...
I think that lion can recognize love. I agree with her.
Almost like it's thinking it through, like, if I kill you, are they going to put me down?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this a trick? Mm-hmm. If I come after you, am I going to get a dart in the neck and then be tranquilized and have to sit in that room again?
Yes.
He's definitely giving her that look like,
was he nice to her, though?
You want to be eaten, but it's too easy. It's too easy.
Was he nice to her?
He just stood there and stared at her.
He never moved towards her or anything?
He moved towards her a little bit, and he was staring at her. It was scary to watch. I guess I already knew the ending just from the headline because it said that she got out of there and they were looking for her. But still, I really thought she had gone in there trying to hurt herself, and then someone must have pulled her out, or they got the lion.
That's a horrible way to try to hurt yourself.
That's what I thought. But she went in there.
Stick your head inside a lion's mouth?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, man, that is not a way that I would choose to go. But why else would you purposefully jump into a lion's enclosure?
Prove to people that love is love.
Well, it's for Instagram followers, I guess. And, so now they've identified her. I don't know what kind of trouble she's going to get in, but I'm sure she'll get into some minor trouble. Another dead baby left in a car.
All right, stop
again
with this.
In Arizona. And again, we have to ask, did this always happen, or are we just talking about it now?
There was no way I would ever forget where my kid is at.
I just can't think of how somebody can forget a baby in the backseat of a car.
Tragically, that's what happened Tuesday when an administrator with the Washington Elementary School District forgot his 4-month-old baby girl. 56-year-old dad realizing the devastating, deadly mistake when he got off work.
Sad events. I understand he's a very good man. He's a parent. He's adopted children.
So you may have heard he's 56. Yes, he adopts kids and fosters kids, and they think this kid could have been. One of the police officers said, I believe that this was a fostered child or an adopted child. But right now, you got to try and figure out, was it sincerely an accident, or
how do you
did
prove
you do it
one way
on
or the
purpose?
other?
Well, like with that one guy, he had a Google history,
right?
And so they were able to figure it out. Yeah. I don't know otherwise how you prove it. Right? You just try and gauge their reaction, and you'd have to have some sort of evidence like they did with that guy who'd been searching out how long does it take for a kid to die in car and all that stuff. They had plenty of evidence against him. But otherwise, I think you just have to go on. I heard one woman who was being interviewed, she said, well, foster parents, they're always great people, and they wouldn't hurt kids. And I thought, okay, well, that's not the same impression that I have of all foster parents.
No, me neither.
It just depends, I guess, on your perception. And then also people saying it's impossible. There are so many people that... And that's why the local news there interviews them, because they say it couldn't happen. I could never leave my kid in the car. And I think
you're such a great person. I could never forget.
I could never forget.
Sure
it could never happen.
That, of course.
Right, but obviously it does. Are you saying that you think that all of these parents
that everyone
that ever did it on purpose? Because I don't. I am familiar with someone that this happened to, and I'm pretty certain that it was not done on purpose. It completely devastated her and her family, like unimaginable level.
It's one of those things that you don't really want to weigh in on, because if it was truly an accident, then what a horrible, horrible, horrible burden and what you have to carry on to try to continue to live your life after that. I can't even imagine. Accidentally killing your own child.
Right.
I mean, I can't even imagine. So, you know what? I don't like to really jump in on that, but does seem odd to me that you forget that your kid's back there. Okay. Maybe you just have really good kids. So my kids are always talking.
And this is a.
And I know they're little, but even when they're little, like, I would just, and to me, but how long? Yeah, but no, but how many times? You know what? I don't want to get into it. But you drive your kid around. It's in a seat in the back, a car seat.
Yeah.
How many times you just look in the rearview mirror just to make sure he's not choking on something?
Oh, what?
Every 3 seconds you do. I would be more likely to get into a car accident because I'm looking in the rearview mirror at my kids in a car seat and turning around trying to get something out of their car seat and not paying attention, or putting the pacifier back in their mouth, or holding up the rings or the keys to keep them, to try to get them to sleep and play. Then I would be more likely to get into a head-on car accident because I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, is trying to keep that kid somewhat amused and happy in the back seat, than I would forgetting that they're back there.
And I also thought, when I saw this story, about the difference between a new parent or someone like this, who they're describing as a foster parent or adoptive parent. He's 56 years old. It sounds like he's had a lot of kids or has a lot of kids. So I thought, originally I would have thought that a new parent would be more likely to do that because you're not used to having a kid, right? You're used to just, you drive the same route, and so you go to work one day without going to drop off the kid at daycare because it was your husband's day or whatever, and you go into work and you're a new parent. It just didn't dawn on you. After reading this, I thought, no, it's probably the opposite, because as a new parent, it's like a new pair of shoes. You're making sure everything, you keep it extra clean. You always got an eye on it. Whereas if you had raised a bunch of kids and adopted a bunch of kids, I don't know how many kids he's adopted, but is it more
it becomes
likely
second
that
nature.
He's got a sleeping infant in the back, and then he goes to whatever this appointment was. One person said the appointment, the other person said comes out of work. I don't know. But it's another kid dead in a car, and it's another reason that auto manufacturers keep trying to come up with new ways to prevent this from happening, and you're just going to see more and more of it. Heartbeat sensors inside the car, making sure whether... So some of the talk has been about actual heartbeat sensors that would monitor if there is someone alive in that car. It could be your dog, it could be a human. If the temperature gets to a certain point, then the car has to turn on, the air conditioner has to start running, their windows have to crack, or whatever. But right now, they already have cars where if you open the back door and close it, and then you get in the front door, you drive somewhere and you get out and you don't open that back door again, it alerts you and says, hey, you put something in the back earlier. Don't know what it was, but you opened the back door before we started this trip, which is it's a pretty good idea. Yes. And it probably doesn't cost manufacturers a ton of money to add that. Kids dying from vaping. It's been one of the biggest stories of 2019, and all the bans on nicotine cartridges and THC cartridges and what's causing it, and we still don't know.
Now with a look inside the vaping crisis, at least 17 deaths, more than 800 cases of lung injury have been linked to vaping, and almost half of the cases involve people under the age of 21.
So as they kept looking into these stories more and more, they kept finding that a lot of these kids were using bootlegged THC cartridges. So these would be cartridges that didn't come from a dispensary like in Colorado or California. This is stuff people are making in their homes. And I thought, how are they making it in their homes? But you know what? People used to make wax, and people obviously have to make all types of... there's chemists who have to make Molly in their basement, I guess, and stuff, because it's not like all that stuff's coming from pharmaceutical companies. I mean, none of it is. So who's making this? Well, how about a Wisconsin mom? She's been charged in helping to make illegal vape cartridges. She has 2 sons. They're adult sons, 2 brothers, and it sounds like they sold THC vape cartridges to people, and apparently she helped them manufacture these things. I don't know if she was pulling out the syringes and, pushing this stuff into jewel pods or what kind of cartridges she was using, but she says she will plead not guilty to the felony charges against her. Well, her defense attorney said that. Just was arraigned today in Wisconsin. Says the mother of 2 brothers is charged with running a large-scale THC vape manufacturing operation. Authorities say the 43-year-old woman knowingly participated in the illegal operation. She's charged with 6 felonies, including manufacturing or delivering THC, and she was released on a $100,000 bond after appearing in court. Authorities earlier arrested her kids. Now, when I saw that it was a Wisconsin mother, wasn't one of the first kids, or maybe even the first two kids, weren't they in Wisconsin who had the lung illnesses? What if they could trace some of those back specifically to these brothers or this family, I guess, manufacturers? That would be crazy. San Diego is a very expensive place to live.
Beautiful this time of year.
Beautiful.
I was just there on vacation.
Beautiful almost all times of year.
It's America's finest city.
It's quite spectacular, but it's going to cost you a pretty penny to live there, especially depending on what part of town you want to live in. People are freaking out that someone is renting a shed in their backyard for a little over $1,000 a month. And when you look at it from the outside, it does look like, well, I mean, it is a shed in their backyard, but it's been modified.
I was amazed that it was going for that much money.
That was Joe Moreno's reaction when he came across the ad for this 200-square-foot backyard studio right in his neighborhood. It's now listed for $1,050 a month.
It does have plumbing? I mean, imagine it's got facilities.
The answer is yes. It's also got a wall air conditioner, new laminate flooring, and a kitchenette.
Now, I don't know that much about San Diego, okay? I've only been there once. But the location apparently is a great location because it's walking distance from some great part of town, all right? They talk about how expensive these houses are along there. Now, the rent is exactly $1,050 a month. I wanted to show you a picture of this place because it does look like a shed with, a door on it.
Okay.
And it is in someone's backyard. But on the inside of this thing, it has laminate floors. I mean, it's like 200 square feet, 250 square feet. It's very small. But there's room there is a futon in there. There is a window AC unit. There's only one. It's all you'd need for the space. But there is a bathroom with a little shower, and there's a little kitchenette. It looks like an extended stay hotel.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. Maybe a little bit smaller, but that's what it looks like. And I honestly thought $1,000 a month in that part of San Diego, I'm from the Midwest, so I don't know anything about what it costs to live there, but I'm not all that shocked. People there seem to be shocked, but the guy who rents it says, look, I'm going to get asking price because the last person that I had living here was paying, I think he said $1,100 for quite a while. No problem. And so I think I'll get the $1,050 a month for this little 250 square foot spot.
What part of town is it?
That's the price you pay. Let me see if it says in here, North Park. So it's in North Park, which is one of San Diego's most walkable neighborhoods. Okay. I don't know what North Park is. Do you guys know, have you guys ever been to Rockstar Burgers in the West Bottoms? Isn't it open like 24/7?
No, but I've heard of it.
I've heard of it too. Yeah, it is open 24/7, but I've never been.
Like we had someone text him one day that was working there or something, I thought. Was that them? I don't remember. But anyway, I've not been in there myself. I've driven by it. I've seen it. And I think it's cool that it's open 24/7. But I saw Fox 4 KC did a story about it. Apparently, neighbors have some concerns that are being raised after an altercation went viral. I looked up this girl who they interviewed on the news, and she actually, well, I shouldn't say any more than that. But it's a small city, right? It's kind of a small town. We all kind of are connected one way or another. So I don't know this person personally, but I guess there's been a lot of incidents down there, and the person that they interviewed who's the neighbor who's concerned about the shenanigans, I guess, whatever you want to call them, that are going on there, he wanted to keep his identity hidden on the news.
Neighbors want to know what it will take to get something done.
Seems to keep escalating. Every month it seems something else happens that is directly related to this one place.
And he said it used to just be motorcycle gangs and people peeling out and lots of loud noises and then even occasionally people firing off shots. They said now they're seeing women getting beat and really sketchy wrong things happening. That's a quote from one of the neighbors. That neighbor and many others, this is, again, Fox 4 KC, did not want to be identified. KCPD said that this year the business received calls for assaults, liquor license violations, and warrant arrests. They said cases involving the restaurant have been sent to both the city and county prosecutor. This reminded me of, in my neighborhood, the guy who sold me my house.
Yeah.
He used to own a bunch of houses in the neighborhood, and he rented them. And then he slowly started selling them when the property values kept going up and up and up. And one day he came to me with this flyer and said, Reed, I want you to sign this. It's a petition because we want to keep this restaurant up on the corner. They've got live music and stuff, and it's really noisy, and people are coming out of there drunk, and it's going to be really loud at night if they get this liquor license, this whole thing. And I said, and I really like this guy. We'd never had a disagreement before, but I said, well, no. I said, I kind of like hearing people drunk and screaming, and I like hearing people.
Right, you like the bustle of a city.
Yeah, kind of like I don't pretend that I'm living in Brooklyn or anything, but I like hearing the sirens
Sure.
in here. And I like the idea of something being open 24 hours other than the grocery store. Don't
Right.
you?
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
I mean, there's just something about a place being open 24 hours, and I know that you're going to run into trouble. Anytime a place is open 24 hours,
Sure, of course.
you're going to have to deal with that stuff. But, man, I hope that they end up doing all right because... And like I said, I've never even been there. I
I've never
don't
been
know
there either.
anybody who works there, so I don't really have a horse in this race other than I want more places to be 24 hours like that.
I do like 24-hour places.
Yes. Like when we lived in Seattle, we've mentioned this several times. They had a fancy restaurant there, 2 locations called 13 Coins.
It was
you
awesome.
could go in there at 3 a.m. and get a $40 filet. At
Yep.
3 o'clock in the morning, the waiter comes up. He's got the full apron on with the tie and everything.
White coat. Yeah, the whole deal.
Yeah. It was
awesome.
very 1970s.
Yeah,
Everything
big barrel
was dark.
seats
yeah.
and-
I like that.
Dark wood grain stain.
Yeah,
It
you
was
could
really
get a
cool.
$40 filet with eggs, right? It was unbelievable.
3 o'clock in the morning. You want it? Here's a glass of scotch, whatever. They
Right.
had the whole thing. And I always thought, man, I would hope that every city, if you're a big enough city to support Major League Sports, you should be big enough to support at least 1 or 2 of these 24-hour
Yeah, of
restaurants.
course.
I would like to see more of those. Did you guys see this woman who said that she was forced into a baptism?
No?
That a police officer...
Didn't-
Go ahead.
Isn't that what the Lutherans did?
The Mormons did the post death.
Right, I think the
baptisms,
Lutherans,
right?
didn't they nailed a thing on a door. They said these are our
Grievances,
what we
yeah.
don't, yeah.
Martin
and then
Luther.
they walked through the streets and threw holy water on people. Right?
Oh, okay. I didn't know that part of the story.
So if
I
you
just
got hit
remember-
with it, you were just baptized.
I remember the grievances thing. Which, by the way, that's never really bothered me that much because I thought if I don't believe in it, and you say, well, you've been baptized,
Right.
or I just baptized your dead dad. I went to his grave. I'm like, okay. I don't believe in Elohim or whatever, any of that stuff.
Right.
So you can wave your hands and do whatever. It doesn't bother me. Now, if you're in my way while I'm trying
I
to
think
visit my dad's
Mormons
grave,
went through the death records.
didn't they try and...
I don't know if they actually, they didn't, they do it a different way. I don't think they actually
do it for people... Isn't it like for family members and stuff who hadn't been baptized or something? Is that the Mormons that do that?
Yeah, but I don't think they actually go get the body or
No.
the
I'm not
grave
saying
or
that they
anything.
get the
I
body.
don't
I'm
think
saying
go
that
to the
they just
grave
like
or
pray
anything.
about it, right? Don't they
Yeah.
just say like it's like
They
ceremonial?
find
We're
death
doing it-
records of people who haven't been baptized Mormon,
Right.
and then they do it in their church.
It's a
So who cares?
ceremonial thing. Well, this woman says that she was dunked into the water by this cop or by the sheriff because I don't know. He said that she needed to clean up her act.
Freedom from religion, where she was forced to participate in a religious ritual against her will, and asking her if she'd been saved and asking her if she believed in Jesus, where you convert or else.
So this sheriff's deputy is under investigation for reportedly inappropriate search, including a body cavity search of some sort, and then forcing this woman into a late night baptism. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office referred all questions to the county attorney. The lawsuit details a traffic stop in which she was detained. This officer detained a woman between 10 and 11 p.m. while she was driving in the Saudi Daisy area. The woman had first stopped at a gas station to buy some cigarettes and gas, according to the lawsuit. The sheriff was also at the gas station when the woman left. He followed her. As the woman pulled into a friend's driveway, officer initiated a traffic stop allegedly without any justification, ordered her to get out of the vehicle, according to the lawsuit. She complied and got out of the vehicle, and he searched by feeling through her clothing, touching her, she says, like inappropriately, and then was ordered to reach under her bra and shake like this to make sure that there was nothing hidden under her bra or whatever.
All
Do a
right.
little shimmy.
I like the way you do that.
Well, I do this pretty good. I've practiced this
I was
before.
just looking at that. That's good.
I took a shot at Chatterbait.
I like the cut of your jib.
I could not get like a single viewer on Chatterbait. I get the one and then they close it immediately, just enough time for me to say, hi, Barry, or whatever.
That
and
is a
boom, they're
surprise.
gone. I thought I could make a couple extra bucks. I thought everybody was into
If I
something.
clicked on Chatterbait, you popped up and said hi and started doing
Dude,
your
I will do it
Shakira.
right now.
Man.
Forever. And
I may never go back again.
Together. I'm more of a she.
Are you just naked?
According to the
Are you
sheriff's
naked
office,
when you do that, or?
well, if you pay me, you got a tip. More
Okay, well,
tips,
what do you
please.
start in?
Ching, ching, ching. I start off like this because I learned this from women. I only tried it a couple times. You can't make any money. You lay with on your stomach on your bed.
Yeah.
Laptop in front of you. You put your feet up and curl them like this, and then you kind of dangle them like this, and then you have your hands in front of your face like this.
Are you in jeans and shoes and everything?
Basketball shorts.
Basketball shorts, got it.
My girlfriend says I look good in basketball shorts, so that's
Any
what I go
socks and shoes on, or?
Do I wear? I probably had my socks on, like ankle socks on. And basketball shorts, and then just a regular T-shirt, and then, you just lay there. You put your hands up under your chin, kind of, and then someone clicks.
Do you wear
on.
a lot of basketball shorts?
In the morning, like to bed, and in the morning.
And around the house? Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I mean, not out anywhere, really.
No. Well, there's been times where I've ran to Quick Trip
Of course,
in my basketball
of course.
shorts. I will admit that, but
that's a trend that came back that I'm happy about.
Did it go away? I wasn't aware it ever went.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like just being able to buy them easily, or
to find them and buy them easily and
I've had
cheap
the same
and
two pair for years and years.
being everywhere.
Well, remember Mike that played soccer with us?
Mm-hmm.
He gave me a pair at a game one night because I forgot to bring clothes, or I think I come straight from work or whatever, and I wasn't supposed to play that day. And he says, "Here, just you should play tonight." And I said, "No, I didn't bring clothes or anything." He said, "Wear these shorts, you can keep them." And actually, I still wear those
really?
just about every single day. Yeah, I think of
You've
him
got a
every
lot
time.
of guys' pants at your house.
Two, Nick's and his. Not Nick, Fox Sports, but Nick, former Sporting KC player.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me a pair of workout shorts.
I'm just saying, you've got a lot of guys' pants at your house.
But I don't know that Nick ever actually wore those workout pants. He didn't specify. I guess it did seem like he did because there was laundry in the back of his car. But all he said was, "Do you guys want some sporting stuff or some Wizard stuff?" I guess at the time. And I was like, yeah. And then he gave me a pair of his workout shorts. I don't even know if they were like his personal workout shorts. Maybe he'd never worn
I'm
them.
just saying, you still wear them.
Yeah, because I've only got like two pairs of...
And they're both other men's.
That's true. Yet I can't get a single bite on Chatterbait. It's the damnedest thing. I really thought I could make like a few bucks.
I'd pay you. The way you were just sitting down there.
Someone has to be into like, okay,
I'm into it.
He's a cis, white, middle-aged, pretending to be straight guy, right? Like that's got to be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like I thought that some people are really
You're
into
an otter.
that. An otter, right. Yes, I'm an otter. Otter. I should change my name.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I should
What are you calling
change
yourself
my
now?
name. Tom. I always call myself Tom.
Tom doesn't work.
I know it doesn't work. I used to use it to prank people and stuff. I should be
Otter.
Otter boy or Otter man. Otter boy sounds better, but also sounds worse. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I would Otter guy. Otter guy.
The
69, huh?
The
Otter guy.
The Otter guy 69.
Yes. Quick. There's a delay. You have to sign up for that name on Chatterbait before somebody takes it.
Got it.
Oh, it's going to be too late. Someone's going to be signing up
The
for that.
Otter guy 69.
And then my favorite story of the day, and that's why I saved it for last. A guy calls the cops and says, my car has been stolen. I was carjacked, and I've been left here on the side of the road. Now, there's nothing funny about that. No one wants to be carjacked. But when the police show up, they're like, all right, we need a description of the vehicle, and we need to know... the plate number, all that good stuff.
It's a story so outlandish, some say it seems stranger than fiction. Oh, my goodness. Here's what has Novi Granberry still trying to make sense of why a Memphis man would lie to police. During the wee hours Monday, detectives say Anthony Thomas called for help, saying he was carjacked by two men along Barnstable here in southeast Memphis. Police arrived, running his license plate. It was in that moment Thomas's story began to unravel.
Oh, and you guys have any guesses as to why that story unraveled or why he would lie to police about his car being stolen? Well, when they looked up his license plate number, they could see in their records this car got towed, and we can see where it got towed from. Well, it turns out it got towed from his girlfriend's house. So he didn't want his wife to know that his car had been towed from his girlfriend's house. Now, they don't give enough information about this, but all I could think was...
Right, I have questions in my head,
Me
right?
too, so many questions.
Right.
Why did you have to go a distance? Because it sounds like he made it a distance from the girlfriend's house before calling cops and saying this is where it happened. Okay?
Right.
He was not near the scene of his... he was not near his girlfriend's house. So he got away from her house and then calls the cops. Now, maybe he didn't have the money for an Uber or didn't have his phone. Maybe it was in the car. I don't know. And thought, well, I'm not going to be able to walk home in time and I should be going to work anyway. These are details I'd really like to know because I feel like there's got to be a better way. Even if you just say, honey, I didn't pay the car payment. I'm 4 months behind and they impounded the damn car. I am so sorry. She's going to be mad at you, but not as mad as I was at my girlfriend's house and I came outside and my car was gone.
Why couldn't he have the girlfriend give him a ride home?
Right? Does she not have a car?
I know not home, but drop him off down the street a little bit.
It's a really short story, and basically what she told you and what I've told you is all they've written in this local CBS affiliate, that officers were called to this street where they met him. He claimed that 2 men carjacked him while he was sitting inside his vehicle. The cops run the license plate. They realized that the vehicle had actually been towed from this other location a couple of hours before he claimed he'd been carjacked. So that would give him some time to walk to this location if it had been a couple hours. Officers confronted him with that information, and that's when he confessed to making the entire story up, and he reportedly told authorities that he lied so that his wife wouldn't learn about his infidelity, and he was charged with filing a false police report. Now, he went to court, he appeared in court, and the local news was there, and like, sir, do you have a comment? Do you I don't remember. I feel like it was something like, do you feel like a douchebag or whatever they do? And he's like, no comment. No comment. I was like, man, now he's on TV? Come on. They
what
got his
city is
all
this?
over TV. Memphis.
God. Why is that such a big story?
I know, right? Why is
That's
that a
the other
national
thing.
story?
What? Why is this guy, what?
Okay, so it becomes a local story, which it shouldn't.
Right.
Filing a false police report should
Happens
not be
every day, I'm sure.
a local news story. Then it becomes national news and fodder for, FARC and Reddit and Yahoo News and all those things because they say man lies about car being stolen because didn't want wife to know he was at his girlfriend's house. I get that that's an interesting headline.
Yeah.
But for this guy's sake, could you not run his picture everywhere and his name everywhere? Do you have to really follow this up so closely? You've got nothing else to do that and I like local news. I think local news serves a very important purpose. But do you really have to go to the courthouse and interview him and say, how do you feel?
It seems like a non-story.
This isn't news. This is gossip at best. And, well, it is gossip.
It just reminds me of remember they used to do, and I think they still do it in some cities, like if you got caught with a sex worker, they just put a billboard up of your face.
Do you remember that, Snow Cone? Did you ever live through those days? They would put it up, the picture, and they would say, here he is, Snow Cone or whatever, and it'd say, arrested for, solicitation of prostitution on June 12th.
Jesus,
and put a billboard up with your face on it.
Yes, to try and embarrass you.
Wow.
Like it's 1674 or something. It makes no sense. And the idea that any judge or any congressperson, city manager, I don't know who makes those decisions, but whoever made that decision,
that's ridiculous,
is being completely unreasonable. And I'm sorry to say,
what?
I was going to let you finish it.
I don't know.
The person that probably thought that was a good idea to put the guy's face on a billboard and embarrass him was probably
a
white.
What?
Probably a white person.
A white woman.
Wouldn't you agree?
Sakes.
Come on.
Of course.
Can you really imagine anyone else saying you know what we should do? Imagine one guy trying to find one guy who's not affiliated with some, fundamentalist church organization.
Right,
saying,
and isn't blowing dudes on the side.
Exactly. Exactly. The guy who's pretending
The only
to be
guy who's asked to do that is a guy who's so gay and wants to hide it. So gay and wants to hide it.
Oh, man.
That's the only guy who thinks that's a good idea.
I don't even actually remember
And
when
he
that
doesn't think it's a
ended.
good idea. He's just trying to divert your attention away from the fact that he's blowing dudes right now.
Look, with the sexual predator list, I have some issues with that. We talked to the guy who made the documentary about the sex offenders list and how it can be a little misleading sometimes and hard to, it's impossible to get off the list, essentially. But I understand the idea of saying we want parents to be aware if there's a pedophile living nearby. I think that's reasonable. But to say, here's someone who tried to pay for sex, and we're going to put his billboard on I-70. Who paid for that? Why is this happening? Who voted yes on this?
Right.
I don't want to live in this. That to me sounds like you are living in a fundamentalist compound, doesn't it? If I lived in some sort of cultish, fundamentalist Christian compound, that's where I would imagine them putting up pictures and saying, shame on this person in the 21st century. But no, here that just happens. And I'm not positive, Lazlo, that they don't still do that in other states.
I think they do.
I think they still do that. I feel like I have been somewhere. I mean, I know I saw them years ago, but I kind of feel like I can remember seeing one not that long ago, like driving to Chicago or something. Maybe even driving to your wedding. I guess that would have been a pretty long time ago. But I would not be surprised at all if states still do that. And back to what brought this whole thing up is this guy lying about his car being stolen. When the police said, hey, you say your car was stolen, we just ran your license plate, looks like it was just towed. They do not say that he tries to continue lying, that he wasted any more of their time. They said that he confessed right then, like, all right, guys, it did get towed. I'm cheating on my wife.
Why did he come with that? Why did he come with that? Just
like,
looking
why
for
did he tell the
sympathy?
cops?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could. That's exactly what I thought, and I would honestly expect it. I got to be honest. If I said, like, guys, listen, give me the ticket or whatever, this goes back to your seatbelt ticket thing. Like, is there something we could do? I did waste your time. I'm sorry. I'm scared. My car got towed. Now I'm late to work. My wife is going to find out that my car was over there, and that's why I called you. I didn't think this through. Please, guys. And there's a decent chance, right, that I mean, I'm not even saying it has to be male officers, even female officers. I think there's a decent chance that, like, all right, it's not as good. It's not as good, but I think there's still a chance.
Not as good as in like, 0 to 90.
There's no chance. There's no chance.
There's no chance you can tell a female officer, hey,
but if it's a
I
guy,
made that false report because cheating on my wife.
All right.
And, boy, I just kind of need to cover that up. That's not happening.
All right.
That's not happening. There's women on the text line right now like, why does he quit cheating on his wife being such a dumb son of a bitch?
I know.
Like, cheating on your wife isn't a crime.
I know.
It's not a crime.
I like to think that there could be a female officer who would have some sympathy, but I don't actually think that.
No.
I know. You don't have to tell me. I was just saying.
I'm not even saying they should, but it's not a crime.
But you could see if you got pulled over by a male officer or two male officers.
I could see, like, trying,
right?
Read the room a little bit.
What else would you say? Because if you're already busted for lying about your car being stolen. So I say go straight to the truth. That's your best defense now. This is an instance where the truth is your best defense because you're not talking to your wife. You're talking to two
There's
cops.
a good chance you might say that even if it wasn't true.
Right?
Like if you were trying to pull an insurance scam, fraud or something.
Yes.
They're like, your car just got towed. And you're like, I can't tell them about the insurance thing.
No.
Hey, man, my car was parked at my girlfriend's house and I'm married. There's a chance. I mean, that's not kind of a strong play.
Real hard ass.
I agree.
You guys understand?
I mean, it's a strong play. It's an all chips in the middle type of play, but it's a strong play. I like it. I think there's a good chance because you're admitting guilt to something huge that could ruin your life potentially, but not anything that could get you arrested. So you're coming with some sort of truth, and in the end, asking for a bargaining chip on the back end of that.
Yes.
And, that's usually when your lies usually work.
That's kind of what I thought. Exactly. I thought
it's a strong play on his part.
So it was a good time to try it. He never would have expected that a few days later he would be at a courthouse with investigators from the local news saying, hey.
Well, that's the other thing. I wouldn't think if I did tell the cops and they would just tell everyone.
Right.
Like, why? If I did say, hey.
Yeah, how does the news find out about that?
Right. Like, how does that go into the police report? Said he was at his girlfriend's house cheating on his wife. Like, what? Why not just, why would they write that in?
Why couldn't they just say was embarrassed about his car getting stolen or whatever? Lied.
Why can't you say car got towed?
Yeah.
Car got towed, lied and said it was stolen.
No explanation.
You don't have to say he did it because he was out
having an affair.
Having fun. Right?
Can I just show you one quick thing? Because I told you that I watched this video earlier. In the courtroom, I mean, they followed this guy to court. Why? Again, I don't know. Watch the bailiff's face on his way out of the courtroom, and I could be reading too much into it, but I feel like I see a lot of sympathy in this bailiff's face.
As the judge ordered, he retain a lawyer before returning. Thomas left, saying nothing further, and outside court, things were
he just had a look on his
same.
face like, oh, man, you poor son of a bitch. And then the reporters are coming up to him.
Hold on one second.
Oh, Lazlo's got to take a call.
No, okay. Are you sure? Thomas is free tonight, but must return to court October 28th to answer to that felony charge.
Felony charge? I guess filing a false police report is a felony charge. All right, well, we're done anyways, Lazlo. If you got to take that phone call?
I do, I got
it. Okay.
The Church of Lazlo. 96.5 The Buzz.
I was thinking about why I had to run and jump. I almost got scammed. That guy was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to talk about that. Yeah, so I haven't heard that one before. But
it came from my phone.
Yeah, I've never seen
it. Was like me calling me.
The caller ID showed up as you.
Right, with my picture on it and everything.
Yeah.
So I thought at first it was one of my... That's why I jumped off the air real quick, because I thought, oh, God, something happened to one of the boys.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how this is happening, but for me to be calling me.
And like we share a family plan.
Exactly.
Or something,
That's what I thought. And we do share a family plan, and I pay for their phone. So I'm like, oh, God, something happened.
Right.
And, somebody's got their phone. They're trying to get in touch with me.
Right. But I know that the scammers use, spoofers, and they get these fake numbers that they can use or whatever. I've never heard of someone using your own number in a way that might make me more suspicious than if it just comes from an unknown number. Because I do get calls from unknown numbers that are like, you do owe us money.
Right, yes.
Like, yeah, this isn't a scam. You scammed us by promising us you'd pay us back. But what your
95% of the time, I still have a Seattle
area code. Yeah.
And so if ever I get a call from Seattle, I know I'm not really getting a call from Seattle. I know they're generating that to the area code because I think I'm still there. So mine are easy to ignore. So I don't ever get it, except this one, it just came up that I was calling me. But I guess he was just scamming me.
This scam.
I had to put on speaker and have SlimFast help me like an old woman.
Yeah,
Talk to him.
He was trying to say, the part that I heard, at least once you turned on the speakerphone, he was saying that that he worked for AT&T.
Yes.
And that there had been some sort of fraud, and someone had tried to purchase 2 iPhone XS Maxes, and they had tried to ship them to Houston, and that's not the city where you reside.
Right.
And that's not the address for it. And I said, okay, so where do I reside? What is my address? And he said, I can't give you that information. And then I just said, okay, well, then neither can I. And he just said, okay. Now, that's the part that makes me think for sure it was a scam, because he just said, okay. But I know that if you call credit card companies and stuff, they won't give you any of your information back to you until you give it to them first.
Right.
Which may include street address, phone number. They make you verify that stuff first. But the fact that he said, okay, if he'd said, well, wait, it doesn't work that way, I'm not allowed to give you because I haven't verified that I'm even talking to you yet.
Right.
I haven't verified that I'm talking to Lazlo.
But I'm sure if it was AT&T, would have asked me for my PIN.
Yes.
What's your PIN or whatever. So It was a scam. But, man, they got me. And I did. I brought it over to you just like a grandma. Talk to this guy.
Am I being scammed? Is this a scam?
I just gave him my bank account.
Wait, are the boys okay? Do you need money, Johnny? But I don't understand. We didn't get to the part where he said you were going to give him money. That was the part.
No, I didn't know what he was doing. I don't know where he was getting at.
I don't know where that leads.
So I'm still maybe getting scammed somehow.
Yeah, or maybe someone bought a couple phones on your account somehow and sent them to Houston, and that guy from AT&T's like, whatever, Dip-ass. I tried to help you. If you want to pay $4,000 for a couple people to have phones, fine. Did you see that guy?
They couldn't pay for him on my AT&T account.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, here, I'm going to finance this on my AT&T account without any money down and without ever signing anything or you knowing. Doesn't seem like it would work that way.
No.
So I am curious how he gets money. But did you see that college kid who scammed these scammers? He did it, consistently. So he would get these. This just happened within the last couple of weeks. He was getting emails and calls from scammers like we all do, and they would say, one way or another, we've got an investment opportunity or something. We need you to give us some money. So he would pretend to be really excited about this. Like, oh, this is great. I want to actually give you more money. This is such a great investment opportunity. And they would say, we need you to give it to us via PayPal or something like that. Okay, then he would write them and say, look, I just tried to send the money to you via PayPal, and PayPal is telling me that I can't because it's too much money, and you and I have never done business before. So it needs proof that we, do business. They need to see something incoming from you to prove it's not a scam. So can you send me $30 to prove it's not a scam, and then it'll allow me to send the money back to you? And they did. And he kept doing it. And he was like, yeah, I don't know why, but it works. And so he ended up donating the money to someone. I don't know.
Oh, really? Did he make a lot?
But no, it wasn't a lot because he was doing these small incremental amounts, but he was just having fun proving that you could scam them. I'm not smart enough nor dedicated enough to take the time to scam that guy back and say, okay, yeah, let me set up a PayPal here and why don't you? No way. But it is pretty funny that guy did that. For the most part now, my scams, like T-Mobile puts the scam likely thing. So when you get a call, it just says scam likely. It means it's definitely a scam, I feel like. So I don't answer any of those. But someone got scammed before you recently. Someone it was my girlfriend. I told you she kept getting those calls that night. And I said, try a little harder. They just were so obviously scammers. Yours was a better scam.
He did a better delivery.
I think yours was a better scam.
It was so good, we're not even sure exactly what he was scamming yet.
No, and actually it was so good that part of me is like, you should check with AT&T and make sure no one tried
That's
to buy
why
any.
I didn't feel I didn't feel like such an old white woman after I left your side after you talked to him, because you're like, you know what? Try giving me a call. See if your phone works.
Yes, exactly.
The Church of Lazlo on 96.5 The Buzz.
I got to roll. Baseball practice.
Oh, that's why you're wearing the baseball tee today.
Baseball practice, buddy.
Baseball practice.
Plus playoff baseball tonight? Man.
It's baseball
I'm
time
not going
for
to
you.
be lonely.
Is this Nico's team?
Yes.
Okay. Is he, is he pitching?
He does pitch.
Is he good?
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
Well, take some video, take some pictures. Don't send it directly to me because, again, it's weird. But tell me how he did, and hopefully he'll share it with us tomorrow.
Okay.
Just tell him, though, that I'm rooting for him.
I will, I promise.
I would be there if I weren't such a
piece of
suspicious piece of Love you guys. See ya.
The Church of Lazlo on 96.5 The Buzz.